Y'all Show. Talk with a Southern accent. Welcome back as we discuss everything regarding the Southeast here on the show. I'm Jon Rawl, and we're here as we begin the Y'all Show today with music on our mind. And we're actually going to, I think, honestly, in over 2 years of doing this show, we might be making history here today. We're going to have our very first bluegrass artist on the Y'all Show on our video portion of the Y'all Show. So we're making history right here on the Y'all Show. We've had bluegrass, we've had blues, we've had a lot of country artists, and we've had other formats. But somehow or another, those bluegrass artists are a little bit elusive. But we have solved the problem here on the Y'all Show. We have found Daryl Mosley. He is going to be our guinea pig. He's going to be our first bluegrass artist, and he's going to be on today to help us break down his brand new record. It's called The Secret of Life, and that's out on Pinecastle Recording Company. And he's joining us now from Waverly, Tennessee, about an hour northwest of Nashville. Daryl, welcome into the Y'all Show. You groundbreaker, you.
Hey, John, I appreciate you having me.
How does it feel to be the first bluegrass artist on the Y'all Show?
Well, I don't know if the bar is set high or low. I guess that remains to be seen.
I,
So,
I think you're setting it pretty darn high. Well, you might have a new album, and in fact, Daryl, what took you so long? This is your first solo effort, but you're no newcomer to music. What's going on?
well, I've been doing this professionally for over 30 years, but I was always a part of a band, and it just seemed like that this was the right time. I, as the older I get, the more I focus, I guess, more on songwriting, and so the decision, I guess, was to just put a collection of songs I'd written together, and it just turned out incredible. I couldn't be more proud of it.
Well, we're excited to learn about your new album and some new music. In fact, if you don't mind, do you mind playing a few songs here during our interview?
It'd be my pleasure.
All right. Well, we'll put some quarters in the jukebox just for you. Let's talk about that background. Is Waverly your hometown?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Waverly, Tennessee.
Humphreys County. And
Mhm.
you, of course, not all that far from Nashville. When did music get in your blood?
I can't remember a time when I wasn't singing, and as a kid, my mom, she played guitar and sang at church, and so I started doing that as a young person. And when I was about 15, I went to work singing out at Loretta Lynn's ranch, entertaining the campers and things at night, and did a little show there for 2 or 3 summers. And in fact, Miss Loretta was the first one to ever encourage me to pursue songwriting and start focus on writing. And so, I mean, it's always kind of been a goal of mine and desire of mine. It's just always kind of been a part of my life.
And Loretta's Dude Ranch and her home is right there in the same county that you reside in, Humphreys County, Tennessee. How is Loretta doing these days?
She's doing all right. She's had some health issues, but she's a tough old gal, and she's doing okay. I don't see her as much as I once did. I see the family pretty often, but we think a lot of her out this way.
Yeah, we sure do. All of us love the coal miner's daughter. Now, you've been doing the bluegrass thing. When did you find that bluegrass was more of your niche as opposed to traditional country music?
Well, when I was, I guess, early 20s, because country music had always been kind of my thing, country and a lot of gospel music. But I met a guy who was a banjo player, and he introduced me to bluegrass. And for people who are not around bluegrass, and I had the typical misconception. I thought it was, this high pitched, nasally, mountainous kind of sound. But there's lots of really great, very country influenced music that's considered bluegrass. And I told him then, I said, man, I'd love to sing some of this. So we put a band together that ultimately became the band New Tradition, and we toured about 200 dates a year all through the 1990s.
New Tradition, and of course, if you're a bluegrass aficionado, is that a group that we would recognize, bluegrass fans around the world, New Tradition?
A lot of people would, yeah. We had a good run. Danny Roberts, who has been a longtime friend of mine, Danny co-produced the album with me. Danny was my partner in New Tradition, and he's been playing with the Grascals for many years. The Grascals are, a two-time Entertainer of the Year and this, sort of thing. So he's a bit of an icon in the bluegrass world, and that all started from the days of New Tradition.
And one of your stops along the bluegrass trail has been with the Osborne brothers. So I hope you like the Tennessee Vols because I assume at some point you've had to play Rocky Top.
A few times, yeah. Yeah, after I left New Tradition because honestly, when we started with the band, we were young and none of us had a family. But when I left the band 10 years later, I had three kids, and so touring 200 dates a year just didn't seem to make sense with that. And so I stepped out to focus on raising the kids. But it wasn't long after that Bobby and Sonny Osborne called, and they were looking for somebody who could play bass and sing harmony. And I knew they worked the Opry a lot, so I knew it would be a lot of it would just be going to Nashville, playing the Opry, and coming home, and so I wouldn't be on the road quite as much. So I spent about 10 years doing that, and it was great. The Bobby and Sonny were great to me. They're wonderful people, and I got to play the Opry and got to know a lot of my musical heroes, a lot, and yeah, I played Rocky Top in Kentucky a few times.
And if you don't mind, just as a little warm up to some of your own material, do you mind playing us a few seconds worth of Rocky Top?
Of Rocky Top?
Sure. If you know it.
Okay,
I mean, I don't want to put you in a corner.
Put it in the key. Bobby Osborne sings higher than anybody I've ever heard, but
Yeah.
I think he did it in the key of B, but I'm going to have to drop it down. It'd be, let's see. I've had years of cramped up city life, trapped like a duck in a pen. All I know is it's a pity life can't be simple again. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
All right. There we
Haven't
go.
done it for a few years.
I'm actually impressed that you haven't done it, because if you haven't been playing that song, it's because you've been playing a bunch of your own material. Of course, we're going to hear
That's right.
some Daryl Mosley music momentarily here on the show that's all about the Southeast, as he's talking to us about his new album, The Secret of Life, and so much more. That's out on Pinecastle Recording Company, and we'll learn more about the album and why he's getting into the solo artist business. All that to come here in our discussion with Daryl Mosley. So let's go ahead and jump into the big question. What led you to get out of being in a band and wanting to kind of be the front man, Daryl?
Well, I'd reached a place where, like I said, I spent the past 10 years. I started a band back in 2010 called the Farmhands, and we got way busier than I anticipated, and we were back up to doing 150, 160 dates a year. And I love touring and I love being on the road, but I also really wanted to focus more on songwriting. And my partner in the group, he was not a songwriter, and so I mean, he's one of these guys. He's like Willie Nelson. He played 365 dates a year if he could string them close enough together, And so it didn't make sense for me to slow the band down just because I wanted to focus on some other things. So last September I stepped out and started putting this record together, and I've been doing solo dates, songwriter things, and that sort of thing. I am putting a band together to do the festival dates and things for 2021 that we would have probably done this year had it not been for the COVID issues. But I mean, I'll still tour, and I'll always love to do that. Probably not to the degree that I used to, because I really do believe that my primary passion is songwriting and want to focus more on that.
Now, reading your bio, I think it's 6 number one songs you've had that you've penned.
I think that's right.
Is that in bluegrass music?
Well, it covers several genres. I've had 2 or 3 in bluegrass. I had 1 in Christian country. I had 1 Southern gospel song that actually made the list as one of the top Southern gospel songs of all time.
Which one was that?
It's actually several different genres.
What song? What Southern gospel song?
There's a song called "Ask the Blind Man, He Saw It All."
All right.
The Booth Brothers recorded that.
Okay. Daryl, a man of many talents, and we're getting him to be our guest here on today's Y'all Show. We're putting that talent to good use here on the program. Well, you've got a new single out from The Secret of Life, and it is a few years ago. We're going to go ahead right now on the Y'all Show and play a little portion of the music video for this. And this, again, is your latest single from the album. And tell me about the video. I like the fact that you can, I guess, break the law here. You're going down the highways of Tennessee driving and singing at the same time. I guess that's allowed.
Yeah. Well, the whole concept of the song was really about kind of looking back to you reach a stopping place in your life and you look back professionally and personally and kind of take inventory and realize that there's things, if I was going to do them again, I would want them to be exactly that same way. But there's other things that if I had a chance to do again, I would probably do different. But of course, you don't get to make any of those changes. So all you can do is keep moving forward and try to be a better person based on the experiences that you've had. And that's kind of what the song celebrates, is just a little bit of wisdom. And so the metaphor of being in a vehicle and moving forward seemed to make sense.
All right, well, we're going to let you actually play this song for us now on today's Y'all Show in our visit with Daryl Mosley. Daryl, if you will, just take it away. Let's hear this new single that's out again on Pinecastle Recording.
A few years ago, I was stronger then. I could work all day and I could dance all night again. The future seemed like a far off place, and I was busy searching for a dream to chase. I had no idea how much I didn't know a few years ago. A few years ago, man, I sure could flirt. Never giving thoughts to who all might get hurt. Wasn't thinking about anyone but me, and the landmines up ahead just did not foresee. It was, as they say, my first rodeo a few years ago. Back when my hair was dark and my days were long, and I was never sad and I was never wrong, and I never dreamed that I would have regrets for the things that I can't change, the things I can't forget a few years ago. A few years ago, man, I knew it all. Now I shake my head at that fool child I recall. I've been blessed a bunch, caught a break or two. Sometimes there's still a little sense of deja vu when I hang on to the things I should have long let go a few years ago. Back when my hair was dark and my days were long, and I was never sad and I was never wrong, and I never dreamed that I would have regrets for the things that I can't change, the things I can't forget a few years ago. A few years ago.
All right, Daryl Mosley. Wow, what a good song. And a lot of people don't like to talk about your hair, and you talk about it a lot there in a few years ago. And let me go ahead and compliment you. You got a good set of hair there. What do you do to get it that color?
Well, man, I can't take credit for that. That's the Lord in the gene pool, I guess. I started going gray at 17.
Did you really?
So by the time I was 30, I was pretty much white haired, and I colored it a few times for album covers and that sort of thing. But the last time I did it, I had just started at the Grand Ole Opry, and a lady colored my hair, supposed to come out brown, and it came out red. I'm talking about Lucille Ball red. And so at the Opry, they got to calling me Smiling Red. And there's still people at the Opry still call me Smiling Red Mosley to this day, and I hadn't been red for 20 years. So.
My goodness, and that's something we didn't mention in our earlier conversation with you. You have played the Opry. You played a lot of places in your career, usually again with other acts. And now, thanks to this new album, The Secret of Life and More, we're going to get to see a lot more of Daryl Mosley. And that was the single that we just heard just a moment ago, a few years ago. And I love that. I love the video where we played a little portion of that prior to your singing, where you have some old photos of you, maybe back in your redhead days.
Yeah, yeah. There's some old pictures in there too. That was kind of fun to dig out.
Did you record that video in Humphreys County?
No, actually, that's on some backwood roads in South Carolina.
Oh,
The record label is based in South Carolina, and then we recorded it down there.
oh, really? What town are they based in?
Well, if you hadn't asked me, I could have told you. But it's right on the North Carolina South Carolina line.
Okay. I had not familiar with a.
Piedmont, maybe Piedmont, South
Yeah,
Carolina.
Piedmont is not far from Greenville, Spartanburg, and
Okay.
so certainly that's news to me. Good on them. I wasn't sure of the background there, but yeah, I guess that portion of the upstate of South Carolina kind of looks like Humphreys County, Tennessee, based on what I saw there. So, and I've been down a few of those back roads there in the upstate of South Carolina in my past. So watch out, don't go speeding there. Now you've got another song we're going to hear from you in just a second, and that is "The Secret of Life." I want to know more about this one. It's your album title, and we want to hear. We want you to play that, but talk about other songs that we're not going to get to hear today. What else can we find here on this Pinecastle Recording Company project?
I'm real proud of it. Like I said, I've got some really great musicians that came in on it with me, and it's a little bit. That was a little bit of an anthology. There's two or three songs that I recorded originally back in the New Tradition days that we pulled out. They've been long out of print, and we pulled those back out and re-recorded. And but then a lot of new songs. One of my favorites is a song called "It Never Gets Old," and it's just a simple little love song. But I have a great friend, Irene Kelly, who's an incredible bluegrass artist, and she came in and sang harmony on it, and it's just beautiful. There's another song on the album that I'm real proud of called "The Deal," and it's basically a conversation, kind of almost like a sales pitch. It's a gospel song, but it's written from the position of Satan, so it's a little unusual, kind of a haunting thing. And so it's a pretty varied group of songs, but they just really fit.
All right. Well, that's important information to know as we wrap up our conversation again with Daryl Mosley here on today's Y'all Show. If you like bluegrass music, you're going to love the new offering from Daryl Mosley. And let's go to that title track now, Daryl. What's the inspiration behind "The Secret of Life"?
Well, there's a gentleman here in our town named Toad Smith, and I spend as much time with him as I can. He's a great storyteller, great historian.
Daryl, 1 second. We cut out just for a second. Start back. You said there's a gentleman here in your hometown. Is it Toad?
Yeah, Toad Smith. Toad
Toad
has
Smith. Okay.
been cutting hair for 67 years in our town,
Okay.
and he's a great guy and great storyteller. And so the song just kind of came from a conversation I had with Toad one day.
All right. Nothing like those hairstylists. And then he does a good job if he's still cutting your hair.
He's still doing it, yeah.
Yeah. How much does he charge?
I think it's funny. There's a sign on the wall, and it says, I think it's regular haircuts $12, all others 14. I don't know what constitutes an other haircut, but apparently mine still falls in the regular category, so I'm all right.
I think we need to head to Waverly, Tennessee, because I can't find a barbershop anywhere that doesn't charge at least $22 these days. So it might be well worth the trip to Humphreys County to get your hair cut. All right, here is the Toad inspired "The Secret of Life." Take it away, Daryl Mosley.
He was a Humphreys County treasurer. He knew everyone by name. He could stand and talk for hours on just almost anything. He'd been our local barber over 57 years, good at raising up your spirits while he's lowering your ears. I never saw him in a bad mood or without that ready smile. Sometimes late in the day, I'd stop in and talk a while. Once I asked him for his formula, his secret of life. He sat quiet for a moment, smiled again, and then replied, "The secret of life ain't no secret at all. Just keep on moving forward and get up each time you fall. Friends that you can count on, an understanding why, and a fresh hot cup of coffee. That's the secret of life." work hard for your money, but make some time to play, and you will never miss that dollar bill that you give away. And when you're at the crossroads of choosing wrong from right, a clean conscience is a pillow you rest easy on at night. Hard times are gonna happen, ain't nothing you can do. Just hold on to your loved ones and they'll help you make it through. Be quick to ask forgiveness, be quicker to forgive, and thank the good Lord every morning for another day to live. The secret of life ain't no secret at all. Just keep on moving forward and get up each time you fall. Some good friends you can count on, an understanding why, and a fresh hot cup of coffee. That's the secret of life.
And that is the title track of the Pinecastle Recording Company album from Daryl Mosley. And Daryl, kind enough to come on today's Y'all Show and play that. And when that gets to be a big hit, Daryl, you know what we're all going to say?
What's that?
I told you so.
Oh, I'd steal that. I have to use that. That's good.
You can do that. You can do that. Maybe, just maybe, if this gets to be a big enough record for you, your $12 haircut might get lowered a few notches. That'd
be nice. I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Toad needs to be looking out for you because you're gonna send a whole lot of business his way. Maybe because of this interview here on the Y'all Show. Daryl, where can we find you? We want to learn more about Daryl Mosley and your music. Give us all your connections, sir.
All right. Well, Jonathan, I have a website. It's just darylmosley.com, and all the information and the tour dates and everything are on there. Also have a Facebook page, like most everybody, and Instagram, and if you do the social medias, you can catch me on there.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to following your career and what's going on with you now that you have kind of firmly put yourself out there front and center instead of being in the background behind people like the Osborne brothers. Now it's Daryl Mosley time, y'all. Be on the lookout for some great bluegrass music and more from this talented Tennessee singer-songwriter. Daryl, thank you very much, and we look forward to following you and catching up with you again.
John, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And that will wrap up our conversation with Daryl. Thank y'all for being a part of the show. More of the Y'all Show will continue. Don't y'all go anywhere now.